Hey guys, Ike here from Mike'sOutdoors.com. I'm here today to talk to you about the 5 worst bows that I have ever shot. Now, when I go to, just like when I did the 5 best bows that I've ever shot, this is strictly my opinion, and this is based on a performance that I got out of them. And I'm even going to go as far on this as say some of this is due to my limited knowledge of tuning these bows, because a couple of the bows that are on the list, just the reason I don't like them is because I don't like working on them, and I just absolutely hate working on these things. And if I had more knowledge on them, I might not hate them so much, or dislike them so much, I guess I should say. So this is the top 5 worst bows that I have shot. And it doesn't mean that these are the worst bows on the market, worst bows ever created. It's just ones that I like the least. So number 5, we're going to start right out with the Onida. And don't get me wrong, the Onidas are fun to shoot. They are really fun to shoot, but I would never take one in the woods. The Onidas are the ones that work on they have a cam on the side and a lever limb, and they're really loud, and they've got a lot of vibration to them, and they're not really that fast. So they have the noise, they have the vibration, and then they don't have any speed to make up for it like some bows out there do. They are fun to shoot. I mean, they make fantastic bow fishing bows. They're just not the kind of bow that I would go out and deer hunt with. The other thing about them too is you can get that, I've heard horror stories of people being at full draw and that limb coming back and then them moving and coming down and hitting branches, which you could do that with any bow out there with a cam on it. But the Onida, just for me, is not a practical bow because the disadvantages to it far outweigh the advantages to it. So that's our number 5, is the Onida line of bows. Number 4 is the Rytera 360. Now, I reviewed this bow a few years back, and overall I like the design, and for me, I like shooting this bow. When I got it set up for me, I liked shooting it, but what happened was I started setting it up for other people to shoot, and man, that thing is a pain in the butt to set up for other people. There's just a lot of tuning on it. Every time you change that handle in and out, it changes the brake sight, changes the draw length, and it's just a bear to tune and get set up for other people. And the other bad thing about it for me was I had a big issue with accuracy on it, because by the time I set the thing to the 27.5-inch draw that I needed, the brake sight was so short that I couldn't hardly shoot the thing. It was like a 5.5-inch brake sight at that draw length, and it just made it really, really tough for me to be accurate with. And again, it's a great idea. It's got a lot of complications to it, and the disadvantages outweigh the advantages of this bow. Now the next one is going to be, and I don't want you to confuse this with the new PSE Carbon Air, but this is the PSE Carbon Light. And the Carbon Light was a bow made by PSE back in the early 90s, I believe. And this bow was really ahead of its time, but in a bad way. It had a solid carbon riser on it, but it had vertical limbs. And if you don't know what the vertical limbs, some of you guys may not, but the vertical limb bows, the vibration travels right into the riser, whereas the parallel limb bows, the vibration is absorbed a lot more into the limb pockets and into the limbs themselves, and they're just a lot more vibration free. So the PSE Carbon Light, just the vibration on that thing, it was like hitting a stinger with a baseball bat. It just had a lot of vibration to it and a lot of noise, and was just way too light for that time, and just ahead of its time. It was kind of an ugly bow. It didn't have a place to put a stabilizer on it. Didn't have a stabilizer hole in it. It was just solid carbon, and just really was ahead of its time because of it lacked the vibration-free qualities of the parallel limb bows that we have today. That's why carbon is working today when it didn't work back then. That and carbon technology has come a long way as well. So number 2 is also a carbon bow from the 90s. This was the High Country Archery Stiletto 380, and this same thing as the PSE. It was a toss-up which one was going to be number 2 and which one was going to be number 3. Carbon riser on the bow, was pretty ugly to look at, had vertical limbs, just vibration through this thing was crazy, loud, and it had a lot of hand shock to it, and just was not a fun bow to shoot at all. Again, ahead of its time. If it would have had some kind of parallel limb on it, it would have been probably okay, more like the bows of today. But for that time, it just was not a fun bow to shoot at all. So the number one bow that I've got on my list is the Alpine Rockstar Alpine. Pretty much name one. I just do not enjoy shooting the Alpine bows. I don't like the cam system. I don't like the grips on the bows. I don't like the draw cycle. There's just nothing about the Alpine bows that I like. I have picked up all of them, from the Fireballs to the new Rockstars, to back when they had Jim Shockey, and he had his no guff bows and all that stuff like that. The shop that I used to work in, when I started in there, they were an Alpine dealer, and by the time after a very short period of time, we could not sell Alpine. Just could not sell it. Couldn't give those things away, and we ended up not carrying them. And we put the Alpine bows on the shelf. And at one point, I had those things marked down for a brand new bow. I was putting them up there for like 125 to 150 bucks, and still couldn't get rid of those things. Just had a heck of a time getting rid of them, and it was just, people would shoot them, and as soon as they shoot them, they just wouldn't buy them. And so there was just a lot of things. There was nothing about that bow that I liked. Maybe the strings, they had good strings on them, I guess. I don't really know about that. I didn't investigate that too much, but there's just nothing good I could say about any of the Alpine bows that I shot. So we'll run it down for you again. The number 5 worst bow for me is the Onida. The number 4 is the Rytera 360. I believe it's called the Rytera 360 Seeker. Number 3 is the PSE Carbon Light, not to be confused with the Carbon Air. Number 2 is the High Country Archery Stiletto 380. And the number 1 is pretty much just any Alpine bow across the board for me. So, again, this is subject to my opinion. Let's hear your opinion. I want to hear your top 5 worst bows that you guys have ever shot. And if you want to see my top 5 favorite bows, you can check that out with a link. We'll put that link down in the description so you can see the opposite end of the spectrum and see the 5 that I like the best. And again, open to opinion. This is strictly that, 100% opinion. These bows just did not shoot well for me and didn't fit me and my shooting style. And I just never could get these bows to the point where I liked them and I enjoyed shooting. So that was a major thing for me. So that is my top 5 worst bows that I have ever shot. So be sure to check out the top 5 best bows that I've ever shot. Be sure to check us out on Facebook under Ike's Outdoors. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share these videos. And be sure to check us out, and you can watch all of our videos on IkesOutdoors.com. Thanks for watching, guys.